or grow it. From the Stash Podcast.
A huge shout out to AC Infinity. They recently released their humidifier. This is an easy top fill system that allows you to adjust the moisture levels from the outside of your tent. It connects to the controller 69, which makes things so much easier to use. You can follow it on your app. You can see it from outside the tent without ever having to step inside. If you head over to acinfinity.com, use promo code THESTASH15, you can save a few dollars off not only the humidifier, but all of their products. And while you're at it, thank them for being a sponsor of today's video.
Good flour versus bad flour. Loaded topic, but I think we should get into it. How do we get in, like, the idea? Pigeons, that was your idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. I was sitting down with my buddy Chris from Black Tycana, and we were actually hashing this out. And and he's a dispensary owner. I'm a home grower. And when I asked him, I was like, what makes good product for you? He kind of went into the effect, the feeling, and I was like, I was interested. I was like, okay. And then I was more prone to the growing side. What makes good flour? For me, it's the simplicity of growing, and we can kind of get into the conversation for me, what I'm really, really looking for. But I think it's a good one. And I think you can kind of take a few different avenues in terms of what we're all looking for when it comes to good product, because I think it's different. I think it's different for all of us. I can speak for subjective. Rob is different from the two of us, right?
Well, and for me, it's tough because I used to only take good flour in consideration as end product. That's it, period. End of discussion. But as a grower, do I want to have something that is good flour, that doesn't yield a whole lot, that takes me 12 weeks, that's stressful and a headache, but it's good smoke? That's where, how good is it? Same thing goes if you're going to the store, we'll say, or a provisioning center, and one is 90, like P's saying, and one is 290. That 290, now I'm looking at that differently. It's a different kind of magnifying glass, and now it's just meh. It's not that great. Versus it being 90, wow, that's some fire. Totally different kind of thing. So I think it's really about how you're looking at it also. It's a perception thing besides being subjective, because if you're going into it, it's just like, oh, there's stuff in this random bag. Great. This is fire. Well, am I going to grow this though? Is that good? Is it a good plant or good flour in terms of end product flour? I think that's where the conversation should be, a little bit of both, Yeah,
end product, and also kind of the flour, how it is when it's growing as well, right? I mean, I think that should be taken into consideration. But yeah, as far as priority, and it's going to be different between everybody, but a lot of people, main thing they're going after is taste and smell. You know what I mean? If they're not getting that taste and smell they want, they're considering bad flour, right? Or if there's no taste, no smell, they're considering it bad flour, right? So I think that's one of the main things there, and that affects as well. I mean, how do you feel? If you're not feeling good, if you're not really getting much of a head change at all, people consider it bad flour. If you're getting crazy, zonked out, whatever, lit, then it's good flour.
Well, the young kids,
I like it when he says lit.
It is cool. You seem younger when you say that. But I feel like the young generation doesn't agree as much. So when I was working with Franklin Fields, shout out to Lil Piss Lord, the homie over there. Interesting name, obviously, age difference. But Steven is his real name. He would say stuff that I thought was fire. He was like, that's mid. Because why? Because it was green and it was average looking in comparison to purple, crazy, covered in trichomes, wild looking, the Zazas. So immediately, it's not even the smoke. It's not even anything. It's the look right away. If it's purple and crazy looking, that's fire. For the average young person, it's crazy, man. It's not just him. It was a ton of different people where I'm like, this is some dank. They're like, yeah, but look at this though. And it comes in at 30% THC. I'm like, okay, all right. So everybody has their own, mentality, I guess, their own thought process. But when it comes to science and facts of what's good and what's not, numbers do dictate some. But I could smoke something that's 30 and comes in at a 1.2 terpene, and it's not my funk. Or I could smoke something at 18% THC and at a 4% terpene, and that's what I want. So it's tough, man. It's so tough to see what's good and what's not. I think that really you hit it on the head. The flavor and smell is going to be your first indicator.
The bag appeal is a good point, though, right? I mean, a lot of people, kind of fall into the same thing where dense buds, like a denser bud structure, seems to be appealing to more people. Although there are people out there that are like, well, I'm okay with the fluffy stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff that naturally foxtails while it grows, right? Well, it's more loosier. Doesn't mean that it has lower THC or lower terpenes or anything like that. But for some people, since the density just isn't there, it's less desirable for them. They would consider a more airier, puffier one, something that's foxtailed, as bad flower versus good flower, which we know just isn't true. But if you go to the dispensary, at least the ones that I've been to and everything I see around here and in California and stuff like that, it seems like most of the stuff on the shelf is more dense, right? You don't really see that loosey stuff unless they have like the 1 ounce deals for like $70 or something, and you open it up, it's just all popcorn in there.
1,000% true, man. I think that's the thing, is most of these people dictating the industry aren't heavy consumers, and they're listening to these cats who are like, I want high THC purple dense buds, and they haven't been educated enough. They've been having, like I use the analogy all the time, they've been having sizzlers at home, and they never went to a 5-star restaurant, a 3-star Michelin grade restaurant, and had a filet mignon or something, And those of us who have been home growers and been doing this for a while, we have. So we know, we've gone through a ton. I've been growing for 16 years now, and I've smoked a ton of different products. And I know what makes it good and what makes it not good, but I also know what makes it good for me and what's not. Like again, prime example is this Golden Goat. I don't like it at all, but it's definitely fire. It's a little bit loose, so the average person may be like, eh. But if you get a nose on her, like that smacks you in the face. You don't got to crack it open. You don't got to mess with it. As where other stuff, you'll see the super dense, purpley crazy buds. Some of the stuff nowadays has got the funk, but for the most part, a lot of that doesn't. You got to really get into it to get the nose and break it up. So when you go to a dispensary, you don't get that opportunity. So it's just, look is totally the thing. When you're growing it at home, at the same time, it's look for months, for a month at least. You're just looking at how it is, other than the little rubs and the smells on there. But I just feel like I'm really, really critical on what I like to smoke, and the look is never a part of it. That's like a bonus, only because I've smoked for so long. It's like knowing somebody who's really pretty but has a really crappy personality.
Yep. Yeah, we've all met him.
Yep.
Not gonna mention any names.
It's me.
I think the evolution of what makes good bud or good product has kind of changed. You look at the beginning, way back, if you will, when people were cracking open. We kind of joked about it. We were cracking open those bricks. Something with minimal seeds, stems, and sticks was kind of something that you were looking for. Flavor and all that was kind of just really secondary to just getting something that was mainly product. And as time would evolve, we started to find THC. THC was a huge craze, and I'm not going to say it's not still, but there was a primary focus, perhaps still, on just THC. Then CBD. There were CBD curtains, for crying out loud, pillowcases, dog treats, you name it, for anything. So CBD was a massive craze. So flower that was providing that. Not to mention the Farm Bill passed in 2018 in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, it's called. A legalized CBD. So you had an explosion of the market. So then you had a more desirable, more preference towards flower with CBD. I feel now people, as growing and legalization starts to proliferate, more and more people are having access to honing in the craft of growing good quality flower. So they're starting to understand now there's more things involved. We're starting to have a conversation of terpenes. This has got to be one of the first years, I'm going to say, that we're actually hearing a percent to the terpene level. I do know in Canada they've been doing, on the label for a little while, but it hasn't been part of the conversation.
Not advertised.
No, never. You'll never see it on a billboard. This bud's got 3.9 terpenes.
Well, like the companies who are really killing it right now, that's their selling point, because you got to go by a percentage to sell.
And that's why, as I feel that people have honed in their craft, they're starting to explore and starting to understand, wow, I don't need something that just tastes like dirt, or I don't need something that tastes like skunk, or not something that has that lemon lime taste to it. I can grow something a little better. So then we've evolved now to a point where people are now talking about terpenes. And I think by next year, we're really going to start seeing people have a preference and start to identify different terpenes. I really think that's where the conversation's really evolving into. But now, we're past bag appeal. that was part of the conversation not that long ago. People understand now that, okay, you can have a Blue Dream or a Girl Scout cookies, or something that's going to be a little bit leafier, not as dense, and it's still going to be pretty good. It's still going to be really good. People are starting to identify that now. So the evolution is important. Where will we be from 5 to 10 years from now? Who knows? Maybe the conversation will be more focused around concentrates, because I do believe concentrates are the future. So, you and I kind of talked about this, or we kind of talked about this before, and I said, we know that good bud makes good concentrate. And you said,
I said, hold the phone.
Hold
good bud
up.
does not always make good concentrate. There's people who are trichome farmers, the real hardcore. Shout out to Celtic Cultivator, Tommy, man. He's one of the best. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say he's the best rosin maker I've come across in America. I mean, everything he has is so unbelievably terpy and potent and funky, but he selects these cultivars and works with the growers who are growing stuff for extraction. And these are ones that maybe the flower's not that great, but the smoke, the end result is just amazing. As where you'll take some great tasting terpy flower and sometimes it doesn't wash very good or it doesn't press very good. You know what I'm saying? You could blast it all, but you're not going to get that same full characteristic in those expressions from the terpenes you're wanting. As where when you're looking for a cultivar that's meant to be extracted and those trichomes and the cannabinoids being agitated for extraction only, you get these aromas and these flavors that you can't find in flower. It's just crazy, man. Like this stuff, the real people who are hardcore into that end of stuff, we got to get someone like that on the show to break it down for us more in the science. But there's so much beyond what makes good product, because it starts from the good grow, when you pull it, how you harvest it, how you dry it. Like literally being rough on the plant could damage the trichome heads. What types of trichomes you have. Like it gets a whole different area. So flower is easier. That's for us old school cats, I feel. What makes good flower? That's easier to obtain. But then you think you have good flower and you want to make a good extract. It may not translate. That terpene may not come through like you hope. I've seen it firsthand with some really, really good extraction artists, we'll say. And they've taken stuff that I thought was mids as flower and made amazing concentrate. But they knew, they're like, oh, this is a perfect bud for this.
And I think that's why we said that's why hash plant exists, because it's perfect or well-rounded, a great example of something that can handle the abuse of being turned into quality hash. There's going to be characteristics that are going to be, beneficial to those techniques. So that makes total sense. And I've even experienced in my own juvenile or amateur concentrate making. What's better, what's not. Some yield, some have been incredibly great smoke, but then I can't get anything in the yield for concentrate. Nothing comes out the end, and I'm just like, well, there goes 8 ounces. That was great. And you get maybe a couple grams of something. So yeah, that's frustrating.
You guys both kind of touched upon it a little bit, but kind of getting deeper into it is like what dispos and stuff are advertising as good. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about around here. I live in Las Vegas, for those that don't know. We've got just billboards everywhere where it's really advertising mostly the price. Like you don't see the advertising of people saying, most flavorful, or and specifying certain flavors that they're getting from right the flavor or smell or whatever. You don't really see that advertised on billboards. But is there like advertising laws or restrictions for that? I think there is some advertising laws and restrictions, but like I can't think of off the top of my head what that would entail. Like obviously you can't advertise to kids and stuff like that, but
you can mention
certain verbiage that they can't mention to make it too
say
appealing
like
in
how
that
strong
way.
it is. Like you can say a percentage, but you can't be like knock you out or crazy potent, like wording like that, because it's crazy. I looked at the laws in Las Vegas for billboard advertising versus Michigan, and it's so much more loose on some things, and other things are like, what? You can't say that word? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really surprised it's not talking more about flavor. I think that would draw more people in, to the dispensaries.
Well, the problem is these people don't smoke.
Yeah, true.
Right? People own these places. They have no idea other than what the testing results tell them. The lab results tell them, oh, this came in 31% THC, or even the terpene percentage. I've smoked stuff that is testing high in terpenes, and I'm like, I don't, it's not there. So the testing could be so, or it could be the fact that it just doesn't, it's not the terp that resonates with me. I don't know, it doesn't pop. But then also, again, when testing versus storage versus curing, all these things, they don't always line up. If you look at your package, you'll see harvested in March and then passed in May and then smoking now. So how long has this, sat there and the stuff evaporated and it's not been treated?
You know exactly how long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 months.
It literally says it right there.
2
I
months
was
in
actually
a
going to bring that up.
package, non-perfect package.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that actually causes us to have differing opinions, and particularly, the folks that are at the dispensaries, working at dispensaries, or even actually the cultivation facilities, the breeders, people who are consuming the plant when it's been properly dried, properly cured in those conditions, right? They're getting that true flavor, but then what's happening to the product? Well, the product is being packaged up, maybe not in a right temperature controlled room, right? So you're losing the things, terpenes are evaporating, volatilizing, right? They're being gone from packaging to the dispensary. Some dispensaries don't have temperature controlled rooms. And then obviously to the consumer, and that could sit on the shelves, like P had said, months, a month, 2 months. So by the time the end user gets it, well, then they consume it, and they're getting a completely different profile than you would right after a proper dry and cure, right? So I think that's another thing that's causing just a huge difference in opinion about flavor, taste, all that stuff between the end consumer and the grower, really.
The process is part of what makes good bud. And as a home grower, I can tell you exactly what process I enjoy. Something that grows easy, needs little attention, provides big, bountiful harvests for little bit of work, right? It only makes sense. And something that I can enjoy for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of different factors to what goes into good bud, but you're right, the process is one of them. And that's why I think craft, trying to figure out how I can I'm just trying to figure out how I can
facilities.
Yes, thank you. I still think we're toting the line with that one, but craft facilities, I think, is a good way to put it. That's why they have the upper hand, when it comes to their product, because there's less hands involved, simply because they are smaller. They can't afford to ship their product to some other location, to have another company handle it, to have another. No, I've actually seen it firsthand. We all have. I've seen the guy sitting at a desk, hand rolling the labels onto the tubes. You know what I mean? There's no conveyor belt system. There's a guy that just hand rolls these damn things, So that alone is going to save the product in the end, because it's just one guy doing the process, And just to kind of double back there, when we say we can't advertise about taste or effect, it's like, listen to the last liquor commercial you had. Not only were there beautiful women and beautiful men advertising these, or they were put in a family situation. They're camping with their friends or whatever, and they're having the latest
they're super American again.
brewski, or nope, we're not there yet. Just kidding. It's like, what do they say? Enjoy a refreshing sip of the best brewed whatever, you know what I mean? But we can't say that about our product, when in reality, I'm looking for the same thing. I want something that's going to give me a refreshing taste, something that's not going to be giving me cotton mouth. That's another thing, you know what I mean? Pasties, if you will. So it's like, that's what we're almost being robbed of what it takes to market good product,
Yeah, well, I mean, the difference is you've got the federal regularization, essentially, that's taking over everything there, and you've got lobbyists for alcohol that we don't have yet for our plant, and I think that's really where those laws come into place. Because again, how is it different here in Michigan than it is in Nevada, or than it is in California? We're all in America, United States, right? We're united, but we have different small little restrictions that change things and make it so the end user can't get the best product. And that's the same with getting genetics, beans, we'll say, where you can't put too much detail on the site because, well, restrictions. you won't have a payment processor. It's like, well, how do I know if this is what I want? How is this what I'm into? Like, it really is to the point now. Shout out to Diswire for letting me know over there on Twitch here.
If you're not watching on Twitch, guys, this is what happens all about always behind the scenes. All kinds of things can happen, like
So,
a random link going to it.
Yeah, one day we'll have Wink change that update.
Shout out to everybody following us on Twitch, twitch.tv/FromTheStash.
If you didn't know, we record these live weekly. You know, sometimes it's almost every week it's Thursdays, but once in a while it's Wednesdays. And when it's Wednesdays, you'll know if you're following us over here or if you're following us on social media. But
who says we don't read the chat?
Who says we don't read the chat? You know,
sorry, good deal.
And that just is what it is. But I feel like the biggest difference for a lot of the market we're dealing with right now is the breeders. I said this a couple episodes ago. The breeders, the growers, and the end user need to have more of a unity. So then these, whatever you want to call them, or there's an edit, Chad or Brad, whatever. I don't like the name of it because there's great Chads that I know and great Brads that I know. But people like that essentially they'll not necessarily be in touch with what the end user wants unless they can just get with that trio, that holy trinity of dank, and that would be the breeder, the grower, and the end user, because the end user helps the breeder know what to look for. The breeder helps the grower know what to do. The grower helps the breeder. It all synergizes and works together. And whether it be your home grower or that be somebody who's doing it at scale, you got to think about the fact that if you don't have that knowledge, if you're not tapped into the community, if you're not consuming the product, get with the people who are. Like someone like Highest Host. I think we just got kicked in the door over on Twitch. Man, big shout out to him.
He's got to ask what would make a good quality flower to you. It's something we don't want to hear from everybody in the chat, in the comment section. What makes good quality flower? As I see Adam come in here, I know that he wants something that smokes well. He's gonna roll it up into a blunt, so it's gonna have to smoke really well, burn well. So I think that would be a factor. You don't want it to be too moist.
Well, that was my point I was saying earlier. So as the consumer versus the consumer and grower, we're a hybrid. The three of us grow and consume. So we're looking like, yeah, the end product's fire, but do I want to grow a 12-week GMO that's super stretchy and tall and may not yield like what I want it to be? Or do I want something that's going to yield good that may not have quite as much funk, but it's fire and it's done in 8 weeks? You got to find that happy medium. And then for me, it's always the end result. I've smoked, how long have I had the headbanger for? That thing was like having a bad, about as long as I had my last bad relationship, I had headbanger. And it was a rough ending for both. It was tough, but the headbanger was something that sucked to grow. The cut that I had, the particular phenotype I had, was not an easy grower. It was a 10-weeker. She didn't like heavy nutrients early on. I had to do like a heavy bell curve where it was low, 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 and then blast the EC up to like 3.5 and then drop it back down, teetering to like 2.5. Literally, like otherwise it would just get funky and not in a good funky. So that changed my perspective going forward. Is I can't always have everything that sucks at growing, but is great smoke. I got to find the happy balance. I got to find a medium. And now with all the great breeders like Mr. Grow It and Grow Tent and Boston Roots, there's tons. People in the Stairs, the list goes on. You can find a lot of those now.
I'm glad you started talking about the growth, comparing good flower to bad flower growth. We talked about the end product already. We talked about the process getting to the end product, how that can be good or bad, right? But actually growing the plant, what is good flower? What do you consider bad flower? Another subjective thing, right? But I think just when growing it, the effects and the taste to the side, growing it, seeing that it's a little bit more on the denser side, not really flower, loose. You don't want to see a loose structure or foxtailing structure, but seeing that trichome really build up during weeks. It can be the beginning weeks of flower on some of these cultivars where it's just covered in trichomes and stays covered in trichomes throughout the whole grow. And of course, we, separate conversation, but stressing out the plant, precision stress can certainly help with that stuff. But if the plant is just covered in trichomes, I do like seeing a nice fade towards the end, whether it be like purpley, orange, kind of all mixed in there. Good flower versus bad flower, looking at that, which contributes to the bag appeal as well. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the growing aspect of it, because that certainly has a big impact of good flower versus bad flower.
I'd say the majority of our viewers here, and shout out to the aliens who just came kicked in the door as well, but majority of our viewers are growers, majority of the stashers are. And, Obviously, with the Stash Blend dropping, shout out to those who've already pre-ordered it, stashblend.com. It's real obvious that growers not are always consumers. You know, there's a lot who aren't, especially in the days of the market being a little more lucrative, we'll say. You know what I'm saying? And now we're looking at a point where it's getting back that way in Michigan, where it's evening out. So you're seeing another spark of people doing it. So those people are the same issue as the big corporate growers. We always called those cash croppers. They didn't care what they had. They wanted big yields consistently, and they would undercut you on price, period. Same thing's happening again. But the quality, really good connoisseurs or the chronosaurs of the game, they're out there, but a lot of them don't liquidate what they have. So that's where being a home grower is mandatory. Or if you're going to the dispo, you're going to pay top dollar. You just are. You're going to pay top dollar because the really good stuff that doesn't yield as good, that takes longer to grow, it's supply and demand. If there's less supply and there's high demand, it's going to cost more. Otherwise, you're going to get the raggedy stuff or the sun grown, or, and no offense to sun grown, but it's just going to be not quite the same unless it's some Cali grown or done differently. I feel like people are going to see
outdoor grown, not necessarily sun grown. I would say is different than outdoor grown.
Even still, like even sun grown, man. Like I've had people who grow in greenhouses here in Michigan, and it's just all should be purged. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, you could say that about a lot of indoors too. Yeah,
and they've got beautiful greenhouse setups and stuff, but they're all making disty, and they're cool with that. So I think that there's the fine line, and the people who are home growers need to like walk that line properly over a few years and see if it's a good grower. Doesn't always mean it's a good shower, we'll say, but sometimes it could be a great smoker. It's what it is, you know. These are bars, and you can write them down. I'll allow it.
Good. Yeah, copyright free. They're yours. Guys, great conversation. You know, I think that pretty much covers the entire process, but is there something that we left out? You know, I think we passed the question off to you guys, as we mentioned before. What to you is either a grower or a toker makes good quality product? Does the process have a part of it? Does the growing process have a part of it? Is it about taste, flavor, hit? Curious to hear from you guys. If you're not watching on twitch.tv/FromTheStash, you're missing out live recordings every single week. Come and check those out. We also do a live toke session after the epi, which is what we're going to do right now. So those watching on Twitch, you're not going to go anywhere. But those on YouTube, you're going to want to come check it out. Twitch.tv/FromTheStash. And you're going to want to check out stashblend.com. We just recently opened a pre-order for our premium additive that we think you're going to love for your garden. It's a dry amendment. But, it could be available. You're right, depending on when this came out. Yeah, stashblend.com has all the information. Go check it out and go add a lot of benefit to your garden with the Stash Blend. Good conversation, boys.
Yep. So we're going to stick around over on Twitch and smoke a few, believe it or not. This has been a cigar the whole time. Totally legal.
Yep.
But we're gonna smoke more cigars with each other on Twitch. For those of you everywhere else listening or watching, much love. It's your boy Rob, Mr. Grow It, Pigeons 420, and Wink on ones and twos. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace out, guys.